Hi, it's Shannon again, and welcome back to my channel. First of all, I took a week off from releasing a video last week because, frankly, I just haven't been doing very well mentally. I've been overwhelmed. Physically, I haven't been feeling the greatest, still sporting my wrist brace for probably week 3 or 4 now. Weather has not been playing nicely with my body. I react very strongly to the barometric pressure, I think it's called. And in the Pacific Northwest, it's usually cold, wet, and rainy, and that doesn't help. And also, our youngest son has special needs, and we had his IEP meeting. And if you're familiar with what an IEP is, you'll understand what I mean. If you're not, IEP stands for Individualized Education Plan. And essentially, it's just a collection of steps and goals for how to educate or help a student with special needs make progress. Well, our son's IEP is 47 pages long, and it seems like the teachers in his SPED class, special education class, it's just a revolving door. So there's yet a new teacher and a new speech and language pathologist, and then work. It's just been a lot. So I've had a lot on my plate, and I felt like it. I felt overwhelmed because I have been overwhelmed. And I saw a video, and I wish I could find it to share with you, but I'm going to do my best to describe it. It was a woman, and she said she wanted to share a little lesson about life. I'm going to adjust my brace here. She had a cup of water, and she said it was clear so you could see through the cup, and she said, over the course of the years, life is going to do this to you. And she shoveled a bunch of dirt, which she referred to as crap, into the cup, and she stirred it around and made this pristine, clear water turn into a bunch of muck, muddy mess. And she said, this is what's going to happen in life. And you could work really hard to start getting rid of it. And then she started trying to shovel all the pieces of dirt out of the glass of muddy water. But as she did that, the amount of water was going down. She was taking out both the dirt and the water. And she said, but you'll see, you're going to work really hard and you're going to take all the life out of yourself too. And she said, let me show you a little trick. And she took a pitcher of clean water and she poured it into the cup till the cup started overflowing. And as she did that, yeah, of course, water came out of the cup, but a lot of the crap, a lot of the dirt came out of the cup too. And eventually that cup and the water was more clear than muddy. And that really resonated with me. I thought, wow, that's what I need to do. I need to start focusing on the good stuff. I need to do more of what makes me happy. And then I remembered 3 years ago, I was being wheeled in for an emergency hysterectomy. And the anesthesiologist was trying to make small talk with me. And she said, so what do you do for fun? And this is the point where they're getting ready literally to wheel me into the OR. My husband and I are saying our real brief goodbyes. It was not a big surgery, but it wasn't exactly planned, so it was kind of traumatic. And I looked up at her, and she thought it was a very innocuous question. It should have been no big deal. I did not know. I didn't, for the life of me, I didn't have an answer. I don't do anything. I didn't do anything for fun. And I looked up at my husband, Jason. I said, what do I do for fun? And remember, I'm flat on my back about to go into surgery, and he goes, you work. That about summed it up. That said it all. I work. And it made the anesthesiologist a little uncomfortable. But she did her best to play it off, and it was fine. But it was a real eye-opener for me. That is a concern. And fast forward to today, or actually last week, and I was thinking, I don't do anything for fun. I am a mom to a typically developing 17, soon to be 18-year-old son. I am mom to a child with special needs. Not even a child. He's 16 going on 17. But he has the mentality of about a 4 or 5-year-old in some areas, a 2-year-old in other areas. And in some ways he is very much a 16-year-old. He wants to do a lot more than he's capable of, let's put it that way. And he has a lot of medical needs, a lot of special needs, exceedingly rare special needs. So it takes a toll. And I also work, and I manage the household, and I'm a wife, and somewhere in there, or I should be making room for myself, but I just haven't. So last week I gave myself a day. I worked in some time. I made some time. Pardon me. That's my my computer. I made some time to sit down and think about this because this is a problem. And I was first upset at myself for not having, and that's work, for not having made time to think about this. But I tried to dismiss that and think, okay, it doesn't matter what you didn't do. What matters is what you're doing now. You're taking action. I thought, what do I want to do? And I remembered back to a child. What did I enjoy doing as a child? I loved art. I loved the art supplies. I loved organizing. I loved all the bright colors, and I loved to draw. And my parents, while we didn't have a lot of money, they did manage to get me into a few art lessons when I was, how old was I? 6th grade. And I just loved it. And honestly, I actually won quite a few art contests that I had participated in. But along the way, as I got older, had some traumatic life events happen, and my passion and my ability for art just kind of faded away. Fast forward to getting married, and I was on track to be a teacher. I wanted to be a German teacher, but long story cut very short, I couldn't go to college because my parents, I was 18, graduated high school. I was top 10 in my class. I worked really hard, thought I was going to get scholarships to help pay for school. That didn't happen. I got a few scholarships. I got two $500 scholarships. So I had $1,000. My parents were unable to help me. And not only that, they were unwilling to fill out the FAFSA. And if you're in the United States, you'll know what I mean by that. It's the federal aid. It's an application that you have to apply for federal financial aid for higher education. And at the time, if you were a dependent, you were under 21, you weren't married, then you had to include your parents' financial information. Well, my parents thought that this would obligate them to actually pay money for me to go to school. They didn't understand that it wouldn't. They just flat out refused to give me any of their financial information. So here I was, and I thought, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? I really want to be a teacher. It's going to require a bachelor's degree. I don't have money. I have two $500 scholarships. Thankfully, that would buy me at the time, this is over 20 years ago now, it would buy me tuition for 2 quarters at a local community college. I thought, fine, that's what I'll do. Now remember, this is way before the years of running start. And so I just decided I can't figure out the whole journey there, but I can figure out the next few steps to get me there. So that's what I did. I enrolled at a local community college, and that's actually where I met my husband. I met him the second quarter that I was there, working 3 jobs, by the way. I was able to get 3 jobs on campus because I had to pay for my books while I was going to school. And I just decided, you know what, look, I'm just going to put one foot in front of the other. And I'm 18, and I'm thinking, I don't have to do this quickly. I just wanted, this was my dream, and I was going to do it. All right, so fast forward to the second quarter at the community college, and I met my husband. And we ended up falling in love, and he actually he got accepted to Cal Arts, which is the Disney animation school down in Valencia or Santa Clarita, California. And so he moved down there and broke my heart, and I'm sure broke his heart, and we kept our relationship going long distance for several months. And then by the end of that year, we decided that we were going to get married, and I moved down there. We eloped. Best decision ever. Been married over 27 years now. So I moved down to California where he was going to school because, remember, I only had money for 2 quarters of school anyway, so it didn't hurt my feelings to relocate. Because suddenly, if I was married, ding, 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 I was independent, and I could fill out a FAFSA and apply for federal financial aid. But while I was down there, I took a quarter off school to find a job down there, settle in, move, yada, yada, yada. I began getting really jealous. I was watching what he was doing, and I really wanted to do it too. It looked like fun. And so he started questioning me. Well, you can change your mind. It's okay. You can do something that you want to do. You're an adult. You're responsible. You can make that choice. You don't have to, you don't have to commit and stick when it comes to your major, what you're going to do for a living. And I thought, you know what? He's right. And so I moved from a position of merely surviving and decided I was going to take a risk. And I enrolled in art school, and I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And I earned a degree in production illustration. Fancy way for saying graphic design or visual communications. So I learned traditional art skills on top of computer like layout, and at that time it was called PageMaker, but it was a layout program, all the Adobe software, all that good stuff. Long story short, I loved it. And I even worked in the industry for a little bit. But then fast forward another year, and psoriatic arthritis came knocking on my door and kind of stole it all away from me. And so I stopped, and for a short while of time, I lost my ability to walk. While the doctors, I saw, oh gosh, probably 7 or 8 different rheumatologists. They were trying to figure out what in the world was going on because the diagnosis wasn't readily apparent or easily apparent. And during that time, I wasn't medicated, so my ability to use my hands, ability to walk was declining. I was 22 by this time. Lost my job because the place where I worked, my office was actually upstairs, and I had to navigate the stairs. And at that time, I was using a cane, and long story short, I lost that job. And I thought, my God, what am I going to do now? And so, long story short, I ended up taking some time off from work. Well, I lost my job, so what was I doing? I was sitting on the couch, crawling to the restroom when I needed to go. It took a while for them to figure out what was wrong with me. Figured out it was psoriatic arthritis, and played around with some various different medications, and thankfully got back on my feet again, got everything under control through medication. And at this point I decided, well, I don't really want to go back into that field again. I told my husband, you're going to kill me. You're going to kill me. I want to go back to school. I want to be a teacher. He didn't kill me. He was great. He was supportive. Loved that man. I knew I married him for a reason. So I went back to school to be a teacher, which I loved. And then life happened. We had one son on our own. It was a high-risk pregnancy. I had lost 2 pregnancies prior to that. Had to be very carefully orchestrated because of the medication I take for psoriatic arthritis. And I thought, if I make it through this pregnancy with a healthy baby and a healthy mama to raise that baby, then I was not going to risk that again. And so at that point, I had a tubal ligation and decided if we wanted another child, we would adopt. And we did. We adopted a little boy. Did not know he had special needs at the time. Surprise! But everything has worked out, but it's also worked out at the expense of some of my own health, my mental health, my emotional health. And a lot of that is on me. It's based on poor choices that I have made. I have not prioritized myself. I have not prioritized my self-care. And it's ironic because I call my site and my channel here hopecopenope.com. But I think that's what we all need to do in life. We need to hope that there's something better, that we can improve our situation. We all need coping strategies. How do we not just get by, but get along? How do we keep moving forward when things are hard? How do we problem solve and troubleshoot? And then how do we nope? How do we create, set, and enforce boundaries? Because when we say no to some things, that's what allows us to say yes to others. So again, back to where we are now. I decided that it was time to press pause and say nope to some things and push back a little bit. My kids, while one has special needs, neither one of them are babies anymore. In fact, my other son, my typically developing son, he's wonderful. He works really hard. He's completing Running Start. He will be 18 in 2 weeks. And in a month, he will be graduating with both his high school diploma and his 2-year AA degree through the Running Start program. When we decided to start a family, I knew that I was going to work hard to do better by my kids than what had been done by me. And so I feel proud of the fact that I've done that, but it is time to take back some of my energy and time for myself. So how was I going to do that? I needed to find fun again. I needed to play. I needed to fill up that dirty cup of water that I felt was my life at the moment, fill it up to the brim so it ran over with all that clean, fresh water. So then I dug this little guy out. This is Crookie from Mulan. It's a Disney movie back in the late 90s, I believe it was. And when I decided to drop everything and go to art school because it sounded like fun, and I was jealous of Jason and I wanted to do fun stuff too, I invested in a drafting table, and Mulan was the big movie at the time, and I bought this little guy. And it's not this exact one. I bought one, and I kept him on my drafting table, and every day when I did my homework for design class and color theory, I would have Crookie on my desk. Well, that was 20 years ago, and I got rid of Crookie. And I decided, you know what, I call this my time token. There are I don't hoard things, I don't keep a lot of things, but there are certain key things that I keep because not just the item that I like, but it reminds me of a certain time in my life. So I got on eBay and I found a Crookie, and probably paid twice what I paid for in the late 90s. But I don't care. I got Crookie back. And he was new with tags, which I was really pleased about. But I wanted him back because when I look at Crookie, I remember that feeling of freedom. I remember that feeling of joy. I remember that feeling of, wow, I'm doing something that I like for no other reason other than I like it and I enjoy it. And so I got Crookie back, and I am in the process of turning part of my little office, which that's another video for another day. My office is actually our walk-in closet in our bedroom. I told my husband, again, this was probably a year ago, I said, you're going to kill me. I said, I value my sanity more than I value our clothing. And he said, what do you mean? I said, if it's okay with you, I want to get all of our clothes out of our closet, everything, and turn that little walk-in closet into my office. And he was great. Again, great guy. Locked that guy down. And I took about a month, and I reorganized everything. And now I'm looking around the room. It's probably 8 feet by 6 feet. And it used to be just my work area where I work from home. But last week I decided, no, I'm going to take a little corner of that tiny closet and make it my art studio and put my little Crookie in it. And it's funny because last weekend, I dug out my old diploma from art school. It said, had my name and the date, and so-and-so had earned this degree in production illustration. And it was cool to see. Had to remind myself, yeah, you were once that person. You can be that person again. But looking at Crookie makes me feel even more strongly about that. So why am I sharing all of this? I'm hoping that either one, I can spare you the journey I've gone on. Don't lose yourself. Don't lose what brings you joy. Don't let life make you irritable, needlessly so. And if you are like me and you are there, I'm hoping that this inspires you to make some changes so that you can find joy again. I'm going to be showing a couple videos coming up here in the next couple days, maybe next week. I even I gave myself a budget, and I allowed myself to go get some art supplies to set up my little studio so that I can have a happy hobby again. And something I'm really going to put into practice is I will have a minimum of 1 happy hour a day. And I don't drink alcohol, but I want a happy hour. And my happy hour is going to be time that I'm lettering or drawing or just coloring in or just doodling, doesn't matter. It's going to be time spent in my space doing what I want, doing what brings me joy. And it may not be an hour at one time. It might be 15 minutes here, 30 minutes there. Some days it may be 2 hours. Who knows? But I am going to institute and implement a happy hour in my life. And I encourage you to do that as well. this was a long video. You got to learn a little bit about my life. I hope you enjoy it, and I hope that maybe it helps push you in the right direction, that direction of whatever it is that makes you you and brings you the most joy. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye-bye.